Well, hello friends. Welcome back to the show. Today we are going to continue what we were doing yesterday because it was a lot of fun just fixing visual stuff on Shopify.com. Yesterday we did this 2x2 grid here, making that work. And today I had this other thing in mind, which is, actually, let me show you in Firefox so you can see what it's supposed to look like. We have this area here where it says like millions and so on, and they have this little line next to them, right? And they're not showing up in our version. Also, we're not doing this. I think this is 3JS WebGL Globe or something like that. But ignore that. We're gonna try to get these lines working. And I don't have a pre-made analysis for what's wrong, so let's start by just saving the page and then creating a reduction from it. So I think maybe can we just do that? And I'm going to, actually, I usually like to use Chromium for making these type of reductions because Chromium is a bit faster when you're deleting elements in the DevTools. I don't know why, but Firefox tends to lag when you do that. So let's see. I just want to nuke everything that isn't that thing. So yeah, we want to keep these things here, and then get rid of everything that isn't that. So everything below it, and these look deletable as well. Just nuke, nuke, nuke. Probably we can delete a bunch of stuff in the head. Okay, that style sheet we need. Maybe these ones we don't. Okay, great. So that's already pretty good, but I bet you we can delete more stuff. Actually, maybe we can even... what else can we delete? Maybe that. Maybe we only need one of them. And, oh, look at that. It's one span per letter for some reason. Maybe we only need the M then. Okay, so now we are getting pretty small, and then maybe we can take like this much and just yoink it up into the body. Delete the rest of it, and then we have an M with a little gradient on the side. Can we do that even? Yeah, so we still have a little gradient there, and we are down to just one style element and a pretty tiny DOM. Maybe we can shrink it even further, but I think this is pretty good. So let's save this as the we call it the little strip, I guess, a little strip of color. Okay, and then we are going to, actually, we're going to verify that that Ladybird still can't render that. Okay, so that's a really good reduction already right here. Oh, actually, I need to run prettier on that just to see how big is this. Okay, so almost 20,000 lines of HTML and CSS when formatted, but yeah, there it is. Okay, so let's see if we can reduce it further without breaking it. So what do we have? We have, here's the body. So just nuke things we don't need. Probably we can get rid of these span here. Suspect these are not needed at all. Maybe we don't even need the letter M, honestly. Okay, well now it shrank quite a bit, so it's easier to see it if it says M. Okay, do you need that stuff? Just to make it bigger. I can still see it. Oh, let me zoom in. Yeah, exactly.
Not showing up here though. Actually, if I'm zoomed in, maybe I don't need the M. No, I did need something there. Okay, all right. So we're holding on to the M, and then let's see if we can just nuke some classes here. Okay. Okay, so that we can't delete before absolute, all right? Okay, so we needed that one. Okay, so this is probably going to be some before pseudo element thing. We need that one. Probably don't need rounded borders. Yeah. Some gradient thing. Okay, so what are these? They're just gradient 2b, and then a before or a from color and a to color for the gradient. Okay, so we're pretty stripped down at this point. Let's see if we can before absolute. Oh, I guess they do the like that. Yeah, so you can't just put a colon in the selector. You have to escape it, otherwise it looks like a pseudo selector. Okay, so it's just position absolute on the before pseudo element. So let's see if we can make our own reconstruction of this here. We'll call it hello. So hello before position absolute. Okay. What's H full? I'm height 100%. Okay. These are like Tailwind, standard Tailwind classes, I guess. I'm just not familiar enough with Tailwind to know what they all mean by heart. W-1 is some width. Sure. So I guess I can just say whatever width I like. Okay. Maybe I can just say a height I like also, actually. Instead of percent, we can simplify. Then I don't have to be zoomed in like that, because that was a little awkward. Okay, so before height, width, BG gradient 2B, which is a background image linear gradient. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we support that because I think it was MacDo who added all the different gradients last month. Or if it was the month before, but this is sometime recently. We got a bunch of these. So we should have that. BAE2. Okay, so then it's a bunch of CSS variables. Presumably we don't need that. Then we need that. Okay, so that looks good. And then can I nuke this? I cannot because it adds content to the pseudo element so that it actually becomes something. So we'll just do that, I guess. Okay, so a bunch of fiddling, but I think that'll do it. And then we can like delete almost all of the stuff above here. So here we go. probably don't need that. Yeah, we can delete all that. Okay, I may have gone too far. Okay, which part was too far? Wait. Okay, when did I go too far? We gotta bring it all back. Okay, that was working. And then I got a little excited. Okay, so we do need something else. Oh, wait, I guess we need something from these variables here. So what is TW gradient something or other? Okay, so what were they? TW gradient, we have from, to, and stops. So we need TW gradient from position and to position, which are to position, they don't seem to be anything. It's a little strange. All right, let's just clean up the CSS here. So we have to twice, so we can delete the first one. And maybe we can get rid of the variables. So TW gradient stops is, oh, it's gradient from followed by gradient to. So what if we just simplify that and say from like red to yellow, just to simplify a little bit. Then we don't need those two variables. And maybe that was enough to not need the whole thing. No, okay. I was, okay. Just flailing around here a little bit, trying to get rid of as much as possible. All right. Starting to look like something we can work with. Let's just see that we are still on track. Still loads, still fails. Do we need the M? We no longer need the M. Okay, now we are talking here. We've reduced it quite aggressively. In fact, why do we even need the pseudo element? Can we just do that? Still works. Okay, so we do need the pseudo element. Okay, yeah, so it breaks if the gradient is on a pseudo element. Cool. Well, that's a really good hint. So we're failing to paint a gradient on a pseudo element. Why would that be? I mean, pseudo elements are just layout nodes like everything else. But I guess we can simplify further. So let's just say red, yellow. We just delete the variable. Oh, okay. So if we delete the variable and inline the thing right away, then it just works. So it breaks if we use a variable. All right. So it has to be a pseudo element with a CSS variable gradient, and then it doesn't work. That's kind of interesting. Maybe it doesn't even have to be a gradient. Maybe it just, what if we can just do like var PG. Like that, right? What if it's just... Okay. So it is pseudo element plus CSS variable does not work. Cool. Then we know what to investigate. Hello. And now I'm wondering if, could we like reduce that? No. Let's not mess with it. It's good the way that it is. Okay. So why do you not work? Where has to be where we expand the CSS variables. So in the style computer, custom property, get custom property. Wait, where did we do this? Expand variables. Who calls that? Resolve unresolved style value. Cascade declarations. Okay. What are we looking at here? Then we resolve all the CSS to custom properties for this element. Fix me, look into how custom properties should interact with pseudo elements and support that properly. How very suspicious. So if we're doing style computation for a pseudo element, then we just skip over custom properties. So that'll do it. So I guess, what if we just like turn that on? So let's process them for pseudo elements as well and see what happens. There's a fix me here because I think probably there's more to it than just turning it on. Okay, so it does work if we do that. Very cool. Who wrote this fix me? Me. Of course it was me. Okay. Note that this may break custom properties on pseudo elements a little bit. A little bit. I turned off the whole thing. Definitely breaks it a little bit. Okay, so I guess the real question is, why does it break? It breaks because, well, if we look at the API, we're not even telling it that we are resolving a pseudo element. So the way that the engine talks about pseudo elements, like before and after, and the various other ones, is as a tuple. So we talk about an element and a pseudo element together. You can see us passing here like element and pseudo element. Compute cascaded values takes an element and a pseudo element, and it is optional. So if you don't pass a pseudo element, we're talking about the element itself. But if you pass an element and a pseudo element, then we're talking about the pseudo element of element. So element before, element after. So I think the logical thing to do here is we'll just start by like passing pseudo element and then seeing where it wants to go. So cascade custom properties. If you also receive the pseudo element, pseudo element, what would you want to do with that? What does cascade custom properties actually do? So first we compute the needed capacity for the hash map of custom properties. Okay, so we just sum up the number of custom properties that we're about to add to the hash map. And then we add all of the custom properties from each of the matching style rules that have custom properties, followed by any custom properties present in the element's inline style. Okay. And then we finally assign those custom properties to the element. Right. Starting to remember how this works now. So this is like a little bit unfortunate and kind of not ideal factoring. I don't think it needs to work this way or even should work this way, but basically when we resolve style for elements, we figure out their custom properties, which custom properties apply to this element, and then we store the set of custom properties with the element. And then later on, other algorithms can then refer to the set of custom properties that we've figured out here. I think that is not great factoring because it forces us to hold on to the set of custom properties for every element indefinitely, even though they're really only needed during style computation. So longer term, we should probably find a way to rewrite this code so that the set of custom properties for an element is like local state within the style computation algorithm, not something that we store with the element permanently. But it feels like what we want to do here is just say store these custom properties for the pseudo element and then let element figure out what to do. So element currently has m custom properties, which is just a hash map of the element's own custom properties. But I think we want to do basically the same thing as we do here. This is we have an array where we store the layout nodes for each of the pseudo elements, if present. I think we want to do basically the same thing and have an array with same thing, just custom properties, pseudo element custom properties. Something like that. And the count of elements in the array, of course, is the number of pseudo elements. Properties, and then I guess let's just put these functions out of line so we can figure out how they should work. Also, let's make this no discard while we're here, because why not? If we're going to change it anyway, I mean. So I forgot, they need to also take the pseudo element, optional CSS, selector, pseudo elemente. And you request the custom properties for a pseudo element. All right, we're getting there. Pseudo element. Okay, so if you are asking for if you're not asking for a pseudo element, we just give you the custom properties, same as we would before. Otherwise, we give you the pseudo element custom properties. Can we get a to underlying on that one, maybe? Okay. And for assigning, same kind of thing. All right, very good. Thank you, Copilot. So what happens if I do that? Well, it's not going to build because I just changed element API. Current element custom properties. Where was that? Style computer. Okay, let me start a little build in the background here while I go and fix problems. Okay, so here we need to pass a pseudo element. So get custom property needs to take a pseudo element. Cool. Maybe I should copy that just so I have it. What are you? Fly string, to deprecated string. My goodness, that is a long and unwieldy call. But we're not here to make things beautiful right now. So we're just gonna power through. And then get custom property wants the pseudo element, which we don't have here because we are in expand variables. So you need to take the selector pseudo element. All right, we're good. And then expand variables. Did I have that copy pastable? I did. Cool. And now we just need to pass it along here. So element, pseudo element. Cool. And wait, where am I? Here? Here. Pseudo element, which I don't have here because I am in resolve unresolved style value. So I will give it a pseudo element. Starting to wonder if we should have a type that's like an element and a pseudo element just to pass around in style computer. It's like an element key or whatever, but for now I think it's okay to pass them as individual values, probably for now. But just saying things that come into my head here, and also pseudo element here. Okay, did we get all of them? Looks promising. We are failing in web content. Connection from client. On line 465. Serialized custom properties. Oh, interesting. I don't think we have this hooked up in the Linux version of Ladybird, but on SerenityOS, we have a UI where you can see the custom properties for each element. We should probably port that functionality to the cross-platform version as well. But not right now. Maybe we'll just we can change this API here a little bit. Just say like that, and pseudo element, and then who calls this? Oh, interesting. So here we have a pseudo element. So actually, we can even make custom properties show up for pseudo elements pretty easily here by doing this, I think. We just pass along the pseudo element. And here we just pass nothing. And maybe that will... We just accidentally implemented custom properties for pseudo elements in the inspector or backend. Anyways. Let's see. So... That's cool. Let's see if that solves the issue on Shopify.com. Hey, we got color. And here are the lines too. Oh, dude. It looks different. I guess they were using the variables in pseudo elements for more than one thing. I think the color background here behind that text is new. The color gradient background here is new. These lines are showing up. It's very cool. There might be more things that I'm not immediately noticing, but that's awesome. Okay, this page is, we're making pretty quick improvements here to this page, and that I very like. So we should make a test for this. So I need to make a layout test. So the layout test can't rely on colors because it has to have different layout metrics when it fails or succeeds. So I'm just gonna make the test affect layout, which we can do by just changing the width, I guess. So we'll say width wide, and then we'll do this 500 px. I didn't think that all the way through. I need to actually say var. Okay, so this is how it should look. And the red is such a taunting color. Okay. So if I make it look like that, then it's correct. But then if I git stash and then just rebuild what we had before all the changes, shows up as nothing. So this should be perfectly workable as a layout test. So what would that look like? We would get this. Where is our... Yeah, right. So this is like the broken metrics. We just see 100 by 100. We should see 500 by 100. If we stash pop, then we see 500 by 100 for that thing. So that is a functioning layout test for this issue. Yeah, I think this will do it. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, custom properties for pseudo element, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll take the strip and we'll fashion that into a test. We'll call it pseudo element with CSS variables with custom properties. Yeah. And let me just go ahead and say, because I'm paranoid, I'm going to specify the font here because it keeps breaking for me if I don't. Okay. And I don't want the new line at the end. All right. So the test for this looks like that. And this would be our expectation. 500 by 100 looks good. Ooh, look at that white space. Okay, I'm just gonna remove that white space. So important. Okay. Oh, I had some style issues. That's fine. libweb. So basically, we are resolve CSS custom properties on pseudo elements. These are now the results of these resolutions. The resolved property sets are stored per pseudo element with the element. Stored with the element a per pseudo element array. Same as we do for pseudo element layout nodes. Same as for pseudo element layout nodes. Longer term, we should stop storing this with elements entirely and make it temporary state in style computers somehow. So we don't waste memory keeping all the resolved properties around. Yeah. This makes various ingredients show up on Shopify. Pretty cool. This has me wondering though, like how does inline style interact with this? Do I need to do something with that? Gonna see if I can test one thing. So let's get a copy of this test. And what if this guy had style on him, right? What if you would override the width here, for example? You would say wide is 200 px. Then it would become 200 px. Is that correct? No, that's not correct. Right. It's just thinking like we apply the inline style last, like after we do the other style. So what was that? Cascade custom properties. It does all the matching rules. So it takes all the matching CSS rules, gets the custom properties from those, and then inline style at the very end. But for a pseudo element, we shouldn't do that. If you don't override it, should the inline style be inherited? I mean, the variable, should that be inherited? It should. So the variable set in inline style should propagate to the pseudo element. That's a little bit confusing to me. So what is it that I have here, really? I have all the matching rules. So these are all the rules that match the pseudo element. But I'm supposed to inherit the properties from the parent element. How does that work? How does that work? Get custom property. Oh, here. Okay, right. Get custom property will ask the current element if it has the property. Otherwise, it will ask the parent element. So it's like goes up the parent chain and asks each parent, hey, do you have this thing? So I guess when we are a pseudo element, we should first ask the pseudo element. But after that point, this is probably wrong, because here what we're doing is we're asking pseudo elements of parents. That's not what we should be doing. We should just be asking the
parent. Right, so I didn't think this through entirely. So if we have a pseudo element, for every pseudo element, the element itself is always the parent of the pseudo element, right? So the first thing you do should be to ask the element after you ask the pseudo element. So this gets a little confusing, but I think if we have a pseudo element, then we just have to start by inquiring about that. Right, so we ask here first. And then if that doesn't pan out, then we start asking at the element level. I think that makes sense. And then we just do that. Okay. So now I think that's working correctly. So we can do it with the color as well. We can say like BG is supposed to be green, but of course this one will take precedence, which shouldn't it? Ah, dang. Okay, so we got inline style now comes through and is inherited by the pseudo element correctly, but inline style should not take precedence over the element. In fact, inline style should not affect pseudo elements at all, other than through inheritance. I think that's the issue. So cascade custom properties probably should just ignore inline style. So yeah, right. If we don't have a pseudo element, then we apply inline style as well. And likewise, we don't need to pad capacity for that here. So, okay, man, that was a little bit confusing, but I think this will do it. So now we should be orange, but we should be 200px and we're not. Why are we not getting that via the inheritance? Okay. So get custom property. If we have a pseudo element, we start. Oh, wait. We shouldn't bail. That's the thing. We shouldn't bail there. We shouldn't bail if we don't have. We should just keep looping. Keep looking. Okay, here we go. That is good. Okay, so we need a couple of test cases here. So let's make sure we test all the various things. The first thing I want to make sure that we test is, I guess we can like inherit from inline style of element. Variable set by. Can we do something? Looking good. Maybe I do something slightly nicer looking while we're working on this. Okay. Wait, why are we just busting the layout here? Why does it look so weird? Why do we display something and Chromium doesn't? Now I'm getting worried. Okay, now my Chrome is bugging out. Let me get Firefox.
Okay, so why do we not display now? Can I get a separate window? Thank you. Oh, the width is supposed to be wide. Oh, interesting. So I think this is a completely separate issue, but basically like this doesn't resolve to anything and we fall back to this. Is that what's happening here? Wide is not set. So they're like, oh, then width becomes auto, I guess. 0px. Okay, so for an unset variable, they go with 0. We fall back to this. So what if... I think that's a separate issue. I'm not even going to work on that one right now. But we'll ignore that. And we'll just make some green things. Variable set by. So I just care about the background color. Background is var bg. Okay, so we should make some page that just makes a bunch of green rectangles is my goal here. So that was the inline style of the element. And then we should be able to inherit it from the element itself, but not on inline style, right? So hello can have bg. Okay, I should probably name these differently. Okay, just refactoring my little thing. Here we go. B has var. So variable set by CSS rule matching the element. It's not super beautiful. Do these have to be like that? Gorgeous. Dun, dun. Why am I making this so difficult for myself? Who knows? Okay, and there's like all kinds of new problems showing up. Now, what am I trying to do? Let me clean this up here. I just have to fix my markup. So these are position absolute. Why do I need that? Why do they need to be position absolute? Why can't they just be regular display inline block or whatever? Yeah, that's much easier to reason about. Okay, yeah, so green comes from the inline style of the element. So the variable set by that. And we can make one that's a variable set by the root as well. Which should have low specificity, so although this is using colors, so I needed to. I don't need to test the root rule. I just need to test these two things. And I want to test width instead. Okay. Ah, the confusion. Okay. Okay, this is what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to have something where we're testing that you can set a variable with inline style, you can set it in the element, and we need to be able to set it on the pseudo element itself. That's the final thing that we need to test. The pseudo element itself. So that would be, if I do this, we're already, no, we're not. Okay, so BG green with 200 px. Okay, all of these cases work now. That's good. And I guess we can put in some bogus values here. So that we shouldn't see these values. And we don't. That's good. But if you were to fail, then they would do that. Yeah, so that's good. Okay. That took me a moment to build a little test for it, but I think that will be a good thing to have. Yeah, so that makes our that makes the implementation much better, and let's see if it still works on Shopify, of course. Seems like it's still good. At least we didn't break it, as far as I can tell. And actually, earlier today we fixed this grid down here as well, or Alex fixed it, which was really nice. So it used to be like scrunched up over here to the right, the whole grid, and now it's laid out properly in the middle. So it's nice to have more people working on layout recently, which is great because we are improving pretty fast. Okay, so let's just package this test up. Test libweb layout. We'll call it pseudo element with custom properties 2. Variations, or like, yeah, we'll just call it 2. It's okay to have a test number 2 that tests the same thing. Yes, and then let me do that. Actually, now this test was using Georgia, which I know it's not going to be consistent on other people's computers. So let me just make sure that we are doing that right. And I think this can go with the preceding commit. It doesn't have to be a new commit, because really I'm just fixing bugs I introduced in the previous commit. Now I meant to amend. Right. Yeah. No, that's good. We're good. Cool. So let me run our layout test battery just to make sure that
didn't break any other tests. But I have a good feeling about this. Everything passed. I don't think we use variables much in the tests we do have, though. But it's good. It's all good. Okay, this will be the end of today's video. So if you made it here, thank you for watching, for hanging out. It is good to be back and programming in the videos. I really enjoy, actually, and got so many nice comments on the video I posted yesterday. It felt really nice. Such a warm welcome back. I really appreciate that. And yeah, this is so cool. We just have to keep fixing issues, and just even sites like this, like really, really complex websites, are going to start actually working. And then who knows what will happen. All right. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all next time. Bye.